Welcome to Small Business Celebration. We're continuing our series on small business sustainability. And our guest this week, well, imagine you've just gone through the worst wildfire in community history. More than 300 homes were destroyed. How would that affect you? How would that affect your family? How would that affect your community? But what if it were also a stepping stone, one of many, that helped you start a brand new business that's community-centric that is still going today? Well, let's find out on this week's Small Business Celebration. This is Small Business Celebration. Welcome, where we're celebrating small businesses for big breakthroughs. Welcome to Small Business Celebration, and our guest this week is Justin Powers, the owner and founder of the Kernville Cowork. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's an honor to be talking with you.
And for visionaries who don't know who are you, and what is it that you do?
My name is Justin Powers. I'm the founder of Kernville Cowork. We've got a small working space here where if you want to come and stay and work and play in the same place, we've got private offices, we've got desks, we've got coffee and Wi-Fi, and we have a community here where you can work together and learn with other people.
Your seventh generation.
Seventh generation, living here in the Kern River Valley.
Wow, you were like your family was like one of the very, very first people who immigrated to the valley.
Yeah, it goes back to, you can trace, from my parents, grandparents, etc., up to the very first white woman on the South Fork of the Kern River.
Really? Wow, and your grandfather has a mountain named after him?
Yeah, that was something that was pretty interesting. Yeah, he was a historian, and he helped to capture a lot of the local stories, and they decided to name a mountain after him. So we are currently sitting under, it would be over here if you could see through the wall. We're currently sitting at the base of Powers Peak, which is really neat.
And where are we exactly?
Kernville Cowork is in the town of Kernville, which is situated right in the heart of the Kern River Valley. Okay. We have the Kern River coming right by us here. We've got Lake Isabella, that's amazing. Right. We've got the mountains, we've got whitewater, mountain biking. It's a really special place in East Kern County that just has so much to offer. It's like an outdoor playground. And this is a place that if you're a business owner, you can bring your laptop, you can bring your portable office so that, if you want to go through and fish and hike in whitewater and still get your emails and do some business, you can do that too. Yeah, it used to be if you wanted to enjoy something like this area, if you wanted to be able to go out and enjoy the whitewater or the mountain biking, it used to be that you could only spend 2 or 3 days doing that. Right. But now, if there's a place you can work out of, maybe you can spend 10 days, maybe you can spend 20 days. Nice. And maybe eventually you look around and you say, well, why am I driving back to my sardine can? Why not live here, work here, play here, spend my money here? Right. But still get my paycheck from Los Angeles, Silicon Valley, San Francisco. Right. Now, you were born and raised here, were you not? Yeah. I was born outside of the valley, but my family moved back when I was about 2. So as far as I can remember, I've always been here. Why did you leave? You left here at some point and you went to Sacramento? Yeah, I knew that at the time. Right. It really felt like if you wanted to live here and play here, you kind of had to work at the high school or at the Forest Service or the hospital. Right. There was a few jobs, but I had this idea that I wanted to do something in technology, something in computers, and so I looked around a lot of different places. We ended up in Sacramento. Okay. I got an associate's degree up there and started a career and got into web development and some other things. I got a really great remote job that kind of gave me some flexibility, and so that kind of led to me coming back here. And when you took your remote job, and you came back to Kernville, you decided that having the remote job was not everything it was cracked up to be. And you started off with your first business. I tend to think of this as being my first real business, but when I was living up in Sacramento, I was still coming down on the weekends because what you could do here is we've got an amazing river here, and I could come back and work as a whitewater raft guide on the weekends. On the Kern River, right. On the Kern River. So I would come back on the weekends and guide. And we actually, at the time, the owner of Sierra South, which is the whitewater company over here, having some issues with his photo system where they were taking pictures of customers and selling them to the customers. he had an issue with the system, it broke. He asked me if I could fix it. I said no.
Okay.
He asked me if I could build him a new one, and I said, I don't know.
Okay.
And so I bought one of the books here on the bookshelf, and I went home and I learned how to do it, and I built him a brand new photo system. And then I thought that I was a big shot and I could start a business out of this, so I started trying to sell it to other companies. And that was kind of my first taste of a business.
How well did it do?
It didn't. I had no idea. I had no idea all the things that went into business, especially around sales, because you know, you kind of have. This is really easy to do. You kind of have this idea if you build it, they'll come. Right. And I had a brilliant MVP, and we made money on it. Actually, I was able to sell it to the local business, but in terms of getting it across the U.S. and all the whitewater, you know, areas across the U.S., that never really happened.
So you discovered that growing a business was a lot more difficult than it was on paper. But how did this start? Because, you know, this didn't come out of a vacuum.
Yeah, it was. You know, we were living in Sacramento, and I had this remote job. All my coworkers are working around the country. I could live anywhere I wanted. So we looked high and low. We looked at a lot of different states, and I couldn't think of anywhere I would rather live and raise my kids than here in this amazing outdoor playground. Right. I'm sitting there one day in my home office, and I'm looking out at the amazing playground we have around us, and I'm thinking, man, wouldn't it be amazing if more people had access to this? Right. I was having conversations with some friends in Bakersfield, and I had a friend in Bakersfield say, hey, Justin, we're going to create a co-working space. I said, what's a co-working space? And I watched what they were doing, and I learned more about it, and I started thinking about all the change I wanted to see in the Valley. I wanted more people to have access to this. I wanted to talk to, you know, have a place for the seniors that are coming out of high school and the middle schoolers, and show them that you don't have to live where you work anymore. Now you can work where you want to live. And they can have these amazing jobs in these high demand careers regardless of their background and regardless of where they came from. And I'm thinking about all the changes I want to see happen. And I couldn't think of a better vehicle for that kind of change than creating a co-working space like this. I wasn't sure if people were going to be that interested in it. I had a theory. And so what I did is I created a meetup on meetup.com. I don't know if many people use that anymore. And I said, hey, let's work together at the coffee shop. And we started this meetup, and I put it out there and did it every week for a few months, and people started showing up. I found out that there was people around here that actually wanted to work together, that actually wanted that connection with people they're working with who weren't working for the same employer or weren't doing the same type of work.
But they wanted a community.
They wanted a community. They wanted the connection. Yeah, so we had been testing this out. It seemed like it would work. I said, well, let's give it a shot. And we rented a building. I went down and bought a bunch of IKEA furniture and filled it up. And we started doing it. And it was a lot of fun. And it was amazing to see the support that we got from around the community, from the different community members, different community organizations. What I wasn't expecting was how much interest we would be getting from outside of the Kern River Valley. How much Kern Economic Development Corporation has been a fantastic supporter of us since before I even knew who they were. Small Business Development Center, the county, our county supervisors have been amazing partners. You know, just a month ago, it was an honor that they presented me with this proclamation recognizing International Co-working Day in Kern County, which is just nothing I could have even imagined 5 years ago. It's been pretty great.
And you've also been getting attention of some of the original founders of co-working spaces internationally.
This has been one of the things that has been really incredible, is that we've been able to work very closely with co-working operators and some of the original co-working founders. Founder of the very first co-working space in New York has been a longtime collaborator. He just sent me a book that's sitting over there that he just wrote. I want to say it's probably the first modern co-working space in North America, back in 2004. All of these people and kind of the co-working community at large, we're seeing a lot of excitement about what we're doing here, because for the longest time, co-working has been largely relegated to the big cities. But coworking can have a totally different impact in rural areas. It's not just about people that need office space and people that need a phone booth and meeting rooms. Right. Now it's about creating an economic hub in the middle of town where we can help the communities to thrive. And it's a totally different model, but it's still based around the same origins of community that the original coworking movement started with.
And if visionaries, fellow business owners, want to come up to the playground, nature's playground, mm-hmm. How do they find this place? How do they get in touch with you and experience this really neat place?
Absolutely. So we're online, kernvillecowork.com. Uh-huh. You can buy a day pass. You can sign up for the membership. You can sign up for a dedicated desk or any of the other anything else that we offer, and you can just drop on in. Or you can email me, justin@kernvillecowork.com. We're also on LinkedIn and Facebook and all those fun places. And you can come in for a single day pass. We have day packs and 5-packs, because what we find is we get a lot of people that are lengthening their vacations. So people that want to, rather than just come up here for 2 or 3 days, maybe they want to stay the whole week and make it a little easier.
Right.
But what we love is for those to turn into full-time memberships and be able to be part of this community on an ongoing basis.
When we come back, we're going to talk about community and getting them through the door. Yes, it's one thing to build it online. It's a wonderful thing. It's another thing to get them through the door and being paying patrons. And if you enjoy Small Business Celebration, go ahead and like, subscribe, and notify. And we'll talk more about getting that community through your door when we come right back. The winter season is rapidly approaching. But are the tires on your car or truck ready for wet weather? Bakersfield's best tire store, Cleroux Tire, has been serving families like yours for 80 years and installs and services the tires your family depends on when the wet weather comes. Give Cleroux Tire a call at 661-324-6069 and ask them about what tire works best for you and your budget. Call Cleroux Tire at 661-324-6069 or visit them at 530 East 21st Street in Bakersfield or at ClerouxTire.com today. The wet winter weather is rapidly approaching. Call Cleroux Tire at 661-324-6069 today. I'm here with Justin Powers, the founder and owner of Kernville Cowork. And our visitor question comes from Danielle, who asks, everyone talks about building community as the key to growing a business, but getting community through the door is something else. What have you done that works?
Wow. Well,
yeah, we always save the easy questions for the beginning.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I've seen it happen over and over again where there's this sense of if you build it, they will come.
Right.
And that can work for some things. It does not work for community. You don't build a building, you don't build a business, and then community just happens.
Right.
A couple of things that we're very intentional about is, one is events. Because
what kind of events?
We try to do a little bit of a variety. So we try and do some social events. We try to do some trainings. We try to do, we have a really great 10-week entrepreneurship accelerator program called Co-Starters. We've been partnering with the Kern Initiative for Talent and Entrepreneurship on that one.
Kite, yes, Kern Kite, yes.
Kite is fantastic to work with. And we try and mix it up. We have an entrepreneurship meetup every couple weeks where the entrepreneurs get together and they help support each other. They help, they ask each other questions. They kind of help figure out some of the issues that their own businesses are having to deal with. And for us, that's been incredible in building community because even if you come in the door and you're a part of the space, we can connect a lot when we're working together, but we can connect so much more when you aren't focused on getting your work done and we're just focused on each other and how we can help each other.
Nice.
But a lot of it is coming up with very intentional ways for not you serving your customer, but your customer serving your customer. Oh. So if your customers can connect with each other, if they can help solve each other's problems, then that's what community is. It's not your connection with the customer, it's customers' connections with each other.
And so when you do that, this is the place they want to meet at when they do that.
Yeah, yeah, and you create a place where that's what they associate Kernville Cowork with, is this is where I can connect with other people, and this is where I can learn things, this is where I can create business arrangements, get to network and meet other people. It's so much more than just coming here because we have the best Wi-Fi in the valley.
Right. It helps.
It does help.
Sure.
And our different customers come for different reasons. And our customers that just need the Wi-Fi, they're fantastic.
Right.
The ones that come here because they're looking for connection, they offer something really special too.
One of the things that you mentioned in the last segment is in essence getting your ducks in a row. The business that you have now is very different than when it first started. Mm-hmm. And what was that first winter like? Because you started this in the summer, but what was the first winter like here at Kernville Cowork?
Some of this comes back to kind of the nature and the character of Kernville. Kernville is so alive in the summer because we have some of the best whitewater in the world, and we have people come from all over the world to enjoy the whitewater. And so there's energy, and there's people coming in, whether they're locals or whether they're coming in from out of town. And I was aware of that.
Right.
But then the actual experience of coming into winter and actually seeing it, at times it kind of felt like somebody just turned the spigot off. And it's like, what happened? You know, the energy in the town drops down. Some of the people that I didn't realize were going to be here for the summer, but they were, and they went, on their way. And it's an empty feeling to come into a business that you built for community, and the first time you walk in and there's nobody there, can be hard. And so this was something that we just started to have to kind of be a lot more intentional about, not just focusing on one kind of customer and not just focusing on our customers right now, but how do we think about what it's going to look like coming out of summer, going into winter and all that.
What is the process now in order to get that community in the winter?
A lot of it comes with events. What we found, and this was a surprise to me, was that it doesn't matter how good our marketing is, it doesn't matter how much we're getting our word out there, the best way we can get members is to have them actually walk in the door. And the best way to get them to walk in the door is if you're having an event or some sort of programming that they're interested in, that they want to get that value. Right. And then they walk in and they look around and they realize, oh, this is totally different than what I thought it was.
Right.
I could see myself here. I would love to work here. I love the the music and the vibe, and there's people, and we're all going out to lunch together, and there's this really they fall in love with that atmosphere. And so a lot of it, as the summer's starting to slow down, we have to be a lot more intentional about picking up with doing events and programming and getting people to come through the door and be a part of the co-working space that way.
You mentioned the spigot turns off in the winter. People come up here for all the whitewater rafting, and when there's snow, they go ski.
Yeah.
But when that first winter hit, and you have a community-based business, and you're very much a community-minded person, how'd that make you feel when there wasn't anybody here?
It feels empty, because we built a space. I built a space because I wanted it to be full, and when the space is full, I feel full. Right. When the space is empty, it's you feel empty, and it's very distressing, and you start to kind of imagine in your mind what's going to, is it ever going to end? How long is this going to happen? And we, usually we have to be very intentional about finding ways of fixing that, about bringing people in the door and stuff like that. But
because you get fulfillment out of that too.
Yeah.
Even as we're recording this, you have a customer that's working here.
Yeah.
And I can already tell that you're a different person now because there's somebody here.
Yeah. Yeah, the more people that are here, and if you came in here during the summer, we've got all of our desks full. I'm putting people in couches. I'm sticking them in the meeting rooms. Right. And they love it, even though it could get a little bit cramped sometimes. Right. But for me, that's because it's not for me, it was never about selling Wi-Fi. It was about building a community. And when you have those different seasons, and I'm not just talking about the winter or about natural seasons, but you have the seasons of growth, and you have the seasons of slowing down. It's you feel it. It's close. It's personal.
The Erskine fire that came through here a few years ago was devastating to a lot of people up here. What was your role in that, and how did that lead to where we are here today?
Yeah, the Erskine fire came through in 2016.
Yeah.
And
And how big was that fire?
It was the biggest that Kern County's ever seen in terms of damage, in terms of destruction. It destroyed 300 homes.
Wow.
It happened incredibly fast. The winds that were moving that fire were just insane. I was out of town when it happened, and I got a call from the Kern County's reverse 911 system, Ready Kern, advising me to evacuate, which I was way out of town. I couldn't have evacuated anyways. And I didn't know for 48 hours if it was probably close to 72 hours, I didn't know if I still had a house.
Wow.
So we came home. I couldn't go to my house because that whole area was closed off and they were still fighting the fire.
Right.
I went to our local church and I grabbed some gloves and shovels and I was ready to help out. And they said, we've got some people that need to be contacted. We need to build a spreadsheet. Can you do that? I'm like, okay, well, I guess I've been typecast.
Sure, right.
And long story short, we ended up creating a call center for connecting people that were in need with people that had something to offer,
right,
and managing all the donations. And one thing led to another, and I became the chair of an organization that was working on the long-term recovery after the Erskine fire.
Right.
And
why was that important to create in the first place?
Most of us had no idea that there's different phases in disaster. There's the response phase,
right,
where the firefighters come in, and that's where Red Cross comes in, and they set up the shelters, and they get everybody beds for the night, and
right,
they get them food. And then there's this phase where they're trying to just make sure people are fed, make sure people have a place to stay for a number of weeks or
right,
maybe months, maybe. But then you start getting into the long-term recovery. And those aren't the same organizations. The people
right,
that come in that can give you a bed for the night are not going to be the ones that are rebuilding the community. And we were all surprised when all those organizations left because their part was done.
Right.
And we said, okay, well, who's going to help us rebuild? And we just didn't know who to reach out to. That was a big learning experience. For one, we had to, because of the nature of the incident and because it was not a federally declared disaster, we had to, as a community, reach out to some of these organizations that could do the long-term recovery. We had to do a lot of the work ourselves. We had to figure out how to recover ourselves while we were still trying to just keep it together, mentally and emotionally.
Right.
And there's a lot that we could have done a lot better with that. And there's a lot that in hindsight, if I was to do it again, I think maybe we could be more effective. But I think it was that sense of you can't just sit around and expect this change to come to you. You can't expect for this assistance to come to you. You have to go out and you have to seek it and you have to bring it in. You have to partner with these different organizations and bring them in. Right. Because if you don't, they're not going to know that you have the need. They're not going to be able to, to help you out. And I think that was probably where things started to change in this kind of the outlook of the way I see it. I see things now is that we're creating this co-working space as a way to connect with these organizations and bring them in and have them help them to make an impact in our community, rather than just kind of sitting there and waiting for change to happen.
And it's that realization that if it's going to be, it's up to me. That's what led to this, Kernville Cowork.
I think it was in a way. It's something that it took me a very long time to kind of put two and two together. But the sense that if there's a change I want to see, we have to be the ones to go out, even if we're not doing the work ourselves. We have to be the ones to reach out and bring these resources in. Yeah, I don't see that I would have been here doing this if it wasn't for that experience, living through the Erskine fire and the recovery after that.
And we'll be right back. The reason we're talking with Justin Powers, the founder and owner of Kernville Cowork, is because of a Visioneer question that came from a Visioneer just like you. We had a visionary that wanted to find out, yeah, it's one thing to build community, but it's another to get them through the door. So if you've got a question, you've got a thought, something you'd like to learn about here on Small Business Celebration, reach out to us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and let us know. Who knows, your question could appear here on Small Business Celebration. So reach out to us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram today. I'm here with Justin Powers, the founder and owner of Kernville Cowork, and our visionary question comes from Pam, who asks, we have a membership-based business and membership retention is a big issue. What has worked for you?
For one thing, you do have to be ready for the fact that there is going to be churn,
right?
And you have to
just accept that. Churn is where it's turnover, is what
exactly, yeah. So churn is where sometimes some of these members that you just assume you're going to have forever,
right?
Life doesn't work that way,
sure.
And they've got their own situations, and so you do have to be gaining members faster than you're losing them. That's right. The way the formula works.
Right.
Part of membership is that you're not necessarily just selling your product or service. You're selling yourself. You're selling your customer has to buy into your business and you and what you're doing. And that's what's going to keep them around when finances get tight, or maybe they don't really, maybe don't need your service in the same way they used to.
Right.
Part of what happens is we'll see we'll have people come in that just think that they need Wi-Fi,
right.
And they're just going to need it for a few weeks, or they're just going to need a desk space for this amount of time.
Right.
And if that was all we were offering, at the end of that time, they would cancel the membership and they would move on.
Right.
But they come in expecting to just have a desk, and they start having this great conversation with the person at the next desk over about, hey, I've got this problem, and they start finding solutions. They start, we go out to lunch with them, and we get to know who they are. We get to know what they're excited about the area, and give them tips and tricks.
Sure.
And now all of a sudden, they're not getting a membership because they need a place to work. They're getting a membership because they feel like they're part of this community. They feel like it's part of what we're building.
Right.
And the more that you can build that connection,
right,
then it becomes not even a question of should I still continue my membership. It's how I have to do everything I can to continue this membership.
Right.
We had during COVID, we actually had people continue their memberships even though they weren't coming in.
Right.
When the shutdown first happened, because they weren't paying for the desk space. They were paying to be a part of this amazing thing that we had created, and to keep that connection. So that's what I would say.
One of the things I imagine has happened on more than one occasion, because you get a lot of business owners that come into the Cowork here. And what's one piece of advice that you have given these business owners over and over and over again that they don't listen to?
I give a lot of advice, but the other thing I do is I try to counteract some of the negativity and cynicism that sometimes happens. So I can be an eternal optimist,
right,
in a lot of ways. Sometimes you have the very typical entrepreneur who has their day job and they're working on this thing and they're trying to get it done, and they say, I think I'm ready to quit my day job, and I'm excited for them. I'm excited about their product. I'm excited about what they're doing. And say, I think you need to get a little bit further. You need to get more momentum.
No, but I'm ready now.
And sometimes they make that jump, and it's so exciting, and I love that moment of saying that I believe in this so much, I'm going to take the leap.
Right.
But it's very terrifying, especially as one of their cheerleaders, when I say, no, maybe wait a little bit longer, and then they come in and they say, hey, guess what? And it's time to celebrate.
And you're going, do you know what revenue is?
Yeah. But it's also such a personal thing, and we all live our lives very different, and we all have our different reasons for having our day jobs and for doing businesses, that it's we just have to support them.
Sure. And what's your barometer of when they come to you and they say, I'm ready to quit my day job, and what's your barometer of saying, yeah, you're not quite ready yet?
A lot of it comes down to if in order for them to continue sustaining themselves and to earn money and to be able to pay their rent or their mortgage and feed their family, if they're saying, well, all I need is this one miracle or these two miracles, all I need is this one thing to come together, that's where it's like, okay, well, let's work on that a little bit more.
Right.
Everybody has their different kind of dollar amounts, or maybe it's a number of days or weeks. You look at the runway you have.
And your runway is how much revenue you have in the bank.
Yeah, so the runway is how many months or years or whatever it is with what I have in the bank and what I'm making right now, how long can I go before I need to take off?
Right.
Right, before I hit the end of that runway and crash.
Sure.
Absolutely, the runway is a very critical part of that decision-making process. Hopefully you, in a perfect world, you've taken off and now you can drop the day job and you're already on that upward trajectory. But in a few situations, you have to understand what that, where you are in that process. If you're still taxiing,
right, sure.
If you're still taxiing and you don't really understand your runway and you don't know how long what it's going to take to actually take off, then maybe let's put a little more work into it.
What makes you wake up every morning and open your business?
So when I'm coming into work in the morning, and what just gets me excited about getting going is, it doesn't happen every day. Mm-hmm. Some weeks it does happen every day, but when I get to be a part of a conversation that happens here, and we use the word serendipity a lot. Mm-hmm. The word serendipity is something that you can't manufacture. You can't make it happen. You can't force this to happen. It happens on its own.
Right.
But somebody has maybe a problem. Maybe it's a business owner trying to figure out their marketing issue, or maybe it's a remote worker trying to figure out how to deal with some sort of technology thing. And maybe I have a solution, but before I get to it, somebody else pipes up and somebody else helps them answer that question. And you start to create this environment where things happen. People are helping each other. People are partnering up on projects that never would have happened if we hadn't created this space for them to come in and be together. Mm-hmm. and share this space together. What's really great is sometimes I'll be sitting there at my desk. I'll be on a call. I'm working with other people around the country, and somebody comes in or somebody has a question, and I can see out of the corner of my eye that my community is taking care of it, and they're helping that person, they're lifting them up, and they're inviting them out to lunch and continuing to build this community. And those moments are special. I can't get enough of them. And the people that are on the call that are watching me on the video call are trying to figure out why I all of a sudden have the biggest grin on my face.
Right.
Can't get enough of those moments. Those are so much fun.
Justin, this has been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us here on Small Business Celebration.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
And if visionaries want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Well, you can find Kernville Cowork at kernvillecowork.com. Okay. We're on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Any of your viewers, feel free to mention that you saw me on the Small Business podcast, and I'll be glad to connect with you there. You can email me, Justin at kernvillecowork.com, or stop on by. Come check out what we've got going on here.
And what's the address?
The address is 11113.
Right.
That's 4 ones.
The 4 ones.
Kernville Road. Or easier, just go into Kernville, and we're right there on the outside of the corner. Huge sign. You can't miss it. If you're going over the river, you've gone just barely too far.
There you go. And once again, thank you so much for joining us here on Small Business Celebration. This has been fun.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And I'll be right back with my final thought. The winter season is rapidly approaching, but are the tires on your car or truck ready for wet weather? Bakersfield's best tire store, Cleroux Tire, has been serving families like yours for 80 years and installs and services the tires your family depends on when the wet weather comes. Give Cleroux Tire a call at 661-324-6069 and ask them about what tire works best for you and your budget. Call Cleroux Tire at 661-324-6069 or visit them at 530 East 21st Street in Bakersfield or at ClerouxTire.com today. The wet winter weather is rapidly approaching. Call Cleroux Tire at 661-324-6069 today. Sounds kind of familiar. doesn't it? When I got done recording this episode, I made a couple phone calls to a couple visionaries before I hit the road, and both of them exclaimed the same thing. You're in Kernville? It's like I was on some kind of foreign planet or something. But I've lived in Bakersfield long enough to understand what they were really saying. What they were saying is, I can't believe you made that drive. You see, Kernville is a wonderful place to go visit because you've got the majestic Kern River and all the whitewater rafting that you've got. Lake Isabella is big and huge, and boating and fishing, and there are hundreds of thousands of miles of hiking trails all over the Eastern Sierra, and the hospitality of the Kernvillians is absolutely wonderful. But the intrepidation most people have is this 10 to 15 mile segment of road. If you've never taken it before, it can be rather, or at least appear, rather daunting, because what you have is this seemingly long cliff that comes straight down. Caltrans has cut out this 2-lane narrow road, and then it's another sheer cliff on the other side, straight into the raging Kern River. It's like there's no place for you to go if you need to escape this, and nothing but death around you. To make matters worse, at the entrance of the canyon, there's these signs that say 160-something people have died since 1960-something or other. So when you're getting into the section of road, it can be terrifying. But when you get through that 10 to 15 miles, it opens up to a 4-lane highway, and it's absolutely stunningly beautiful and gorgeous. And after you've had your fun up in Lake Isabella and Kernville, and you come back to Bakersfield, you still have to go through that 10 to 15 miles of death when you come back. Sounds kind of familiar, right? When you're going through business and you're going through life, you think about all the great things that you want to have, all the fishing and all the hiking and all the great hospitality. But what we forget is that we have to go through that 10 miles of road. It means we have to slow down. It means we have to take each curve one at a time. You can't drive like a maniac. You have to be patient. You have to take these curves one at a time and take them as they are. Because after all, to get through those curves, that 10 to 15 miles, that's how you get to the beauty of Kernville. And that's also how you get home. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? I hope you enjoyed our conversation this week with Justin Powers, the founder and owner of Kernville Cowork, and I hope you learned something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business, and we'll see you here again next week when we celebrate another small business making a big breakthrough. By the way, what sort of money do you need to start your own landscaping business?
I don't know. What kind of money do you need?
You need a good hedge fund.
Oh. Good, solid.
And why did the donut maker retire from his own small business?
I don't know. Why did they?
He just got tired of the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think we can do better than that.
No, absolutely not. It's absolutely not. You know, and I've mentioned this before on the show, if you want to take these and post them on your wall as a memoriam of this was when Michael came to Kernville, yes, you can have
perfect.
Shall we start the show?
Absolutely.
Okay. Welcome to Small Business Celebrate.